And we are recording on Monday, August 28th, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the nose with Mr. Micah Dank, my buddy. He's been on here several times before, going over astrotheology, giving presentations. I know you've done a ton of shows. You were just on with Jesse Hall, I think, last week. And if you
Yeah.
guys go into the description, you can find links to his books, you can find links to his website, you can find links to your Twitter. All of that stuff is in there. Website might be Facebook. I don't know.
Well, the website's got everything. The website's got my
Okay,
social, it's got my YouTube, it's got my books, it's got a way to
beautiful.
contact me, it's got all my videos.
Okay, awesome. Well then, yeah, go visit that. Go follow him on Twitter. And yeah, right now, and I believe so today we're going through what 6,000 years of astrotheology.
Yeah, this is a 17,000-year-old astrological cipher that I figured out.
Okay.
Yes, I know it sounds grandiose and wild, but to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's ever figured this out. I
All
found
right.
an astrotheological code, and I've traced it from the beginning of the Sumerians all the way to the Book of Mormon. And I'm going to show you how it's in every single one of the books.
All right. Well, with that, I'll hand over the wheel to you, and it is your show, sir.
Okay. All right. So let me know when you can see.
I see it.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this because I was on Jesse House. I was on the Missing Link last week.
Yeah.
And I got about halfway through this presentation, and people stopped it. And they're like, what's the point of all this? So I'm going to address that at first because that's what I'm going to do moving forward. You know, you're always right, Tommy. Like when you pick up tips, you always like make slight adjustments just to make things more smooth,
Sure.
things of that nature, right? Okay. So this, what I'm about to show you, what is the point of it? We take for granted that we have calendars, clocks, watches, weathermen. The ancients didn't have any of that. They had sundials. They had staffs that they would walk around. You know why Moses had a staff? Do you know why they all had staffs? Because what would happen is the sun would reflect off the staff, cast a shadow, and based upon that, they could know what time it was. That's what they used to use. They had to know things. They needed to know that Taurus was the bull, which is you see the bull in the sky, you put the plow and the bull on earth. I'm going to go over that very shortly. It's as above, so below. The Bible and all these ancient texts that I'm going to go through from an astrotheological perspective are encoded farmers' almanacs. That's what they are. It was the knowledge of staying alive, which was the most important thing. What people would do is look up at the stars and they would see all the movements and they would make stories up about them. And then they'd pass it down to their children. So they had to be passed down to the children in a way for children to understand. And then the children would grow up and they'd pass the same stories down. It's oral history. And then what happens is eventually they wrote them down and then they evolved from Sumerian to Babylonian to Egyptian to Judaism, Old Testament, then to Christians in the New Testament, then to Muslims in Islam, Book of Mormon, things of that nature. Um, they're all telling the same exact story. The story is the sun going through the 12 zodiac signs. And I'm going to explain to you the sun's hero's journey. And that's what it is. Now, I'm going to read you this quote real quick. My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories, and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically, and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. And that's what it is right now. And every year that passes, people become more fundamentalist, people become more literal, and it couldn't be further from the truth. So what I'm going to do is I have this the first time in human history this has been ever put together, and I've looked for it, and I haven't found it, and I got tired of waiting for people to do it, so I did it. So I'm still a little sick. I was sick on Jesse's show, and I'm coming off it right now. So
You're good.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the 12 zodiac signs, and I'm going to teach you the story in the zodiac. And then all these stories that I'm going to break down are the stories of the sun going through the 12 signs and what it goes through. So the first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man. So technically, Aries begins the year. Um, Aries begins the agricultural year, but because Aquarius is the beginning of our new year, roughly, that's why I started it there. The story of Aquarius goes back to the story of Zeus and the young boy. So, real quick, Zeus saw a 14-year-old blonde boy on Earth and he wanted him in heaven, but the boy's father wouldn't let him go. So Zeus ends up starting to bargain with him. He pleads with him. He does all this stuff, gives him land, money, animals, all this stuff. Finally, the boy's father's like, all right, go. Let's take the boy up to heaven. While the boy's in heaven, just like in this picture, he's feeding the gods a drink called ambrosia. That was the nectar of the gods. And what you'll find is that if you read the story, what you'll find is he's doing this day in and day out. One day he gets fed up of just doing the same stuff over and over again, goes to the side of heaven, just like in this picture, and pours the ambrosia out. This causes a flood on earth. This is where the Greeks get their flood story from. Zeus, who's usually a very sexual, a very volatile god, in a moment of self-reflection, which was rare for him, he was going to punish him. But in a moment of self-reflection, he's like, the boy was young. I took him up. I shouldn't have. He should be with his friends. He should be. Instead of punishing him, he immortalizes him as the constellation Aquarius, which is what you see here. Him going to the edge of heaven and pouring it out. So there's keywords. And the keywords that I'm going to give you for each of the signs represent each sign. And you're going to see how it makes sense that they do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use those keywords and phrases, and we're going to use it to find patterns. Okay? So son of man or man, because this is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Baptism, because this is how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because this is a water pitcher. Fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. A lot of Greek fountains. Remember, Aquarius is a Greek story. A lot of fountains were built like this. All water-related bodies. Now, Aquarius in astrology is an air sign. It's not actually a water sign. Pisces right here is the mutable water sign. But because there's water in the sign, in the picture of Aquarius, they've encoded it to mean water. The same thing goes with Pisces, all the water examples. It's the two fish in the water. Whether you're talking about Aquarius water or Pisces water depends on the patterns that they make in the sky. And I'll show you how that works. Now, Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, 12-hour night. You also have the Passover. You have 3 different kinds of Passover that take place during Aries. The first, the oldest, and the one that they're based on is the astrological Passover. March 21st, the spring equinox, is the day that the sun will literally pass over the equator and start to make its way back to its height in the summer solstice, in the summer. In Judaism, they make a metaphor and change this. It becomes the Passover, which is when the angel of death passes over all the houses and anyone that doesn't have the lamb. And what is a lamb? A lamb is a baby ram. Well, Aries is the ram. This is why the Jews, who are the people of Aries, blow the ram's horn during the holidays, because it's Aries worship. Anyone that doesn't have the lamb's blood or the baby ram's blood smeared on their doorpost, their firstborn sons get killed. In Christianity, this evolves again, and it's changed, and it becomes the resurrection of God's son. So 3 simple Passovers. So the keywords are ram, lamb, shepherd, because that's what shepherds do, is they shepherd rams and lambs and animals, and ram's horn. Taurus is the bull. So I alluded to this a little bit a few minutes ago. When you look in the sky and you see the bull, it's as above, so below, Tommy. You see the bull in the sky. The ancients put the plow on the bull. That's when you till the earth. We have John Deere equipment that does this now. They didn't back then. They had to rely on seeing the bull. Because if you miss this part of the year, you're not going to have harvest at the end of the year. So you plant the seed so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow, now cow is the female bull, you're talking about Taurus. Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister is Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. This is another Greek story. So whenever you hear the words twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. And Cancer is the crab. The crab is the sideways moving creature. The crab walks like this. We don't do this. We walk like this, or we walk like this, or we go backwards. We don't go side to side unless it's a sports drill or something of that nature. The crab does. The reason they made it the crab is because the sun does the same thing. So starting on December 25th, these pouches being the sun, on December 25th, the sun will rise a degree. On December 26th, it's going to rise an additional degree. 27, an additional degree. Every day, an additional degree. The nights are getting longer. The days are getting shorter. No, the days are getting longer. The nights are getting shorter. Now, when it hits the summer solstice, that's June 21st. That's the first day of Cancer. It's at its height. It's the longest day of the year. Then what it's going to do on June 22nd is it's not going to rise an additional degree or lower a degree. But like the crab, it's going to walk sideways and stay at that exact same height for 3 days. What it will then do is on June 25th, it's going to drop a degree. Then June 26th, another degree, and then another degree. And then what happens is on December 21st, that's the lowest the sun will ever get. That is the last day of Sagittarius, and it happens to also be the shortest day of the year. So the ancients would go out into the fields or look outside on December 21st. The sun doesn't even crack the horizon. So they would look at it at its low point and say God's sun was dead. And then just like it walked sideways for 3 days in June, it's going to walk sideways for 3 days here. So suddenly, Tommy, God's sun is dead for 3 days. Whereas on December 25th, it rises a degree. The brand new sun is born again. The light of the world, the only begotten son. It's a story of Jesus. It's going to come back to life. Now you're going to have Christians that watch this channel that are going to say he was born on the Feast of the Tabernacles. He was born on 9/11. He was born during Passover or things of that nature. They have all these interesting theories about it. And what I'm telling you is you can have a theory for every single day of the year. It doesn't matter. This is the holy science that the religions are based off of. This is why Jesus, Tammuz, Horus, all these ancient gods, all of them are born on December 25th because it rises a degree. It comes back to life. That's why. So the ancient Egyptians, actually, it wasn't a crab for them. It was the beetle. It was the scarab. It was the beetle. That's what they had. So there's a reason why St. Augustine calls Jesus the good beetle. So for all the Christians out there talking about St. Augustine and his Christian prophecy, he knew that Jesus, when he was in Cancer, the sun, was the good beetle. Then Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle or the king of the savannah, whatever you want to call it. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So the sun is home in Leo. That's in the summertime. The sun is home. So it's in its glory. It's radiating heat. It's high up in the sky. The days are very long. Metaphorically in the Bible, this is when Jesus is flipping the money changer tables over and he's casting miracles and he's doing this. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Then Virgo is the woman holding the stalk of wheat. That's what you see on the picture of the right. That's what it is. It's the lady holding the stalk of wheat. Why? Because you plant in Taurus, as above, so below. You see the bowl, you put the plow in the bowl, you plant the grains. Then what happens is during Virgo, which is August, September, what happens is the virgins back in the day would go out into the fields, collect all the wheat in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, woman, grain, seed, barley, corn, these are all grainy things that you can verify to this day that if you were to check on Google or whatever search engine you want in the northern hemisphere, this is when they're harvested. Now, Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. So during the Passover in March, it's being heralded, it's being celebrated, 3 separate occasions, it's going back up. But here, it's going down, winter's coming. So it's being sentenced. This is why it's the Libra, it's the scales of justice, right? Okay, Libra's also wine season. So when you plant the grapes in Taurus, you can press the wine here. Libra's also olive oil season. So you have all law, Libra, all law things. Law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, wine, vineyard, wine press, olive oil, all that is Libra. You have Scorpio, who is the scorpion, and he is known as the betrayer. When a scorpion would attack you back in the ancient days, what happens is after it attacked you, let's say it attacked you on your hand and you swatted it away, it left an imprint of a pair of lips. That's what it looks like when it attacks you. That's where the mafia gets the kiss of death from, because it's a kiss, it's two lips, but it's full of poison. These are just deep metaphors that you have to understand. It's also why Judas betrayed Jesus with the kiss. Because he could have pointed him, he could have thrown a rock at him, he could have hugged him, he could have done anything. He betrayed him with a kiss because there's 12 disciples, and each one of the disciples represents one of the zodiac signs. And in my presentations, I go into about, I think, 4 or 5 of them, because I don't do them all. Now, the sun is judged in Libra, then it's betrayed in Scorpio. Then finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. And I already explained to you the story about Sagittarius. It's the last day of Sagittarius. Incidentally, just to let you know this, in the sign Cancer, there's a group of stars called the Beehive Cluster. So that's where honey comes from, the Beehive Cluster. These are just metaphors. The first day of Cancer is the summer, first day of summer. Now, the Milky Way galaxy cuts through Sagittarius. Its center is in Sagittarius. The last day of Sagittarius is the first day of winter. Now, the Milky Way galaxy is where you get the milk from, and that you could trace back to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It was called that literally. So, Tommy, from the first day of summer to the first day of winter, that half of the zodiac, that is your land of milk and honey. It's a place in the heavens. It's star poetry. This is not on Earth. They're not legitimate places on Earth. So for Sagittarius, whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. And then finally you have Capricorn. Now look at this wheel that I have here. This is how the zodiac wheel should look. Cancer at the top, right? Because if the sun's at the top, it's the longest day of the year. And Capricorn, Sagittarius at the bottom. Now if you start the climb December 25th, which is in Capricorn, and you put a little sun at the bottom, and you walk it to the left, a degree a day, it's going to start the climb up the mountain in Capricorn. The reason it's a goat is because the goat is the animal that climbs the mountain. You see a mountain goat climb on like a 2-inch ledge? I think I've asked you that before.
Yeah, the ibex.
The ibex, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. They can like
it's insane.
This is iced tea, by the way. I'm not a heathen.
You're not a heathen drinking Pepsi.
Yeah, this is iced tea. That's why those are the 12 signs. So what I can do is, let me just find it. The Epic of Gilgamesh. This is the first book that I touched. I'm gonna do is, because I have, okay, so all of the ones that I'm about to show you, I have the full breakdown of all the books on my website. What I've done for this particular presentation, Tommy, is just to make it a little more user-friendly, and because you don't have 12 hours of your day, what I've done is I've given one example based on the keywords I've just given you. That makes sense because they tie into the zodiac, and I'm going to teach you the hero's journey. So let me read you one passage from every single one of these books. So let me just read this one to you. This is from the Epic of Gilgamesh. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. What's the bull of heaven, Tommy? Taurus. It's the bull in the sky. It's the bull of heaven, right? May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in his harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar was an ancient fertility goddess. It's where we get Easter from, just an evolved form. Ishtar, Anana, it's all the same goddess. It's fertility ritual. That's all it is. It's pagan. That's all Easter is. You know, bunnies, eggs, right? Who massage you with the sweet smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. So even though I just told you these words, and I don't expect you to remember them all, guys who are listening, some of these should have popped up in your mind, like, oh yeah, he did say something about that. So let me break it down fully. The bear is a constellation called Ursa Major, which is the Great Bear, which is in Gemini and Cancer. The hyena is a constellation called Eltanen, which is the hyena, and three knots in Draco's tail. Draco's tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. Now, I'm going to tie this into the Bible real quick. In Revelation 12, there's the story of the great woman and the dragon. One of the things they say about the dragon is that the dragon's tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. Well, the dragon is the constellation Draco, and its tail is a third of the stars out of the zodiac. It goes from Aries to Sagittarius. So this is just celestial poetry. Now, the panther is the Lanthopedia. The panther is made up of 26 stars. The leopard is Camelopardalis. Camelopardalis refers to a camel, camelos, and pardalis, leopard. The giraffe, when it was first named, was called Camelopardalis because when they first saw this giant, weird-looking, enormous animal with spots, they were like, that's a camel leopard. They had no other name for it, so that's what they called it. The giraffe used to be called the camel leopard. The lion is Leo, the lion, of course. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are Pisces, the water sign that signifies the water. The bull of heaven is Taurus, as I mentioned earlier. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. I mentioned that before, too. The brewer and the fine beer, what does beer come from? That's barley, that's harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo, the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil, which I mentioned comes from Libra. The mourning like their own brothers is Gemini, the twins or the brothers. So you have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Sagittarius. Those are four of the major points of the zodiac mentioned here. That's the solstices and the equinox. If I were to go back to this and draw a line straight down from Cancer through Capricorn, and then a line straight through Libra and Aries, that forms a cross. This is the cross that God's son carries to his death. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is where this comes from. This is astrotheology. Now, so you have four of the four major points. Now you have what they've mentioned in this pile right here is Gemini, Cancer, Aries to Sagittarius. That's Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and Sagittarius. Taurus, Leo, Pisces, and Virgo. So in this one passage that I just read you are 10 of the 12 zodiac signs. Okay, so it's an enormously astrotheological passage. This is another Sumerian tablet, Astrotheology and Enki and the World Order. Father Enki, engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon who stands in Eridug. A grove of vines extending over the land. Where stags are born. Where wild goats are born in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter their houses. The bull is Taurus. The dragon and its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is a deer, which is the constellation Mariga, which is in Orion, which is in between Taurus and Gemini. And the goats are Capricorn. So in this passage, we have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius. That is not only is it 7 signs, Tommy, but it is 7 signs in a row. It is making a pattern. It's not just jumping all over the zodiac. That would be interesting to begin with. But this is actually making patterns. Now, the months entering their houses, speaking of the months being locked in their zodiac houses, there are metaphorical words for the zodiac houses. Some call them houses, some call them eons, some call them ages. There's different words for them that they use, but they represent the same thing, the zodiac houses. So now the third is Enki and Ninhursagha. In Dilmun, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off lambs, the dog had not been taught to make kids curl up, The pig had not learned that grain was to be eaten. The raven is a constellation Corvus, which means raven, and borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. Leo and Virgo are connecting signs, a pattern right there. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. That's 3 signs in a row. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. So you had 3 signs in a row, and then you had opposing signs, cross signs. Tommy, in the Bible, in Matthew 10:16, they say, it's the behold, I send you as wolf in sheep's clothing, right? Beware of wolf in sheep's clothing. The sheep is Aries, and the wolf is the constellation Lupus. That forms an astrological pattern. They're just encoded that way. Now, the dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. So now we have Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra, which is 4 signs in a row. The pig is a constellation called Porcus, which is in the southern sky.
Porcus. I don't know why that just made me laugh. Porcus. It's a funny word, Porcus.
So now we have the New Malish. So we're done with the Sumerian. I mean, I'm honestly going to go back to the Sumerian tablets eventually. But I just did 3 just to show.
Yeah.
Now we're at the Babylonians now. This is the New Malish. Then Tiamat, hold on.
Pretty good.
Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, a Mushusu dragon, a mad dog, and scorpion man, half fish, and half man, half bull. The horned snake is Ophiuchus. I didn't mention this before. I went over the 12 zodiac signs. That's called tropical astrology. Ophiuchus is the 13th sign. Now, they fight a lot. The Vedic sidereal astrologers that use Ophiuchus, and the tropical astrologers, which breaks everything into neat sections, 12 times 30. But you got to understand, Tommy, is that using sidereal and Vedic astrology and using tropical astrology is like me and you punching in coordinates in our cars through GPS and them taking us 2 separate ways, but we're going to the same place. It's just a different way to get there.
Gotcha.
Okay? That's the best way you got to think about it. Now, Ophiuchus is known as the serpent bearer. It's a snake, okay? What Ophiuchus is a man holding a basket with a serpent in it. He's the serpent bearer. The serpent's head is facing this way towards Sagittarius. Ophiuchus sits between Sagittarius, the man on the horse with the bow and the arrow, and Scorpio, the scorpion. In the Bible, there's a passage in Revelation that talks about how the snake will bite the heel of the horse and the rider will fall off of it. Well, if you look at the zodiac wheel and you see Ophiuchus, Ophiuchus is facing the horse. So the snake's head's going to bite the horse's legs, and then the rider with the bow and the arrow is going to fall off of it. It's just star poetry. That's all this stuff is. That's all it's ever been. Now, the horned snake is Ophiuchus. A dragon is Draco. The mad dog is the dog star Sirius. The scorpion man is Scorpio and Aquarius next. Half man, half fish. Well, the half man, the sign of the man is Aquarius, and the sign of the fish is Pisces. Those are connecting signs. Half man is Aquarius, and half bull, which is Taurus. That's just those are just 2 more signs. Now, the Code of Hammurabi. Now, I want to let everybody know that there is a lot of wisdom in the Bible, a lot of it that we have lost. In fact, we don't even begin to give them enough credit for it. In fact, I'm sure you've heard from some atheists before. They're like, should you be put to death for mixing fabrics? No, you shouldn't be put to death for mixing fabrics. That's one of the ones they love to use. However, there is a very real science that has to do with frequencies and what happens when you wear linens and organic cottons versus when you mix polyester, rayon, and things of that nature. There have been physical sciences done to this. Now, Tommy, should they get killed for it? No, they shouldn't get killed for it. But you have to understand is that all the forms of punishments that happened in the Bible were lifted from the Code of Hammurabi. The Code of Hammurabi is how everyone discussed commerce and how to figure out how to barter, what people gained, what people lost based on what they did, things of that nature. So in the Code of Hammurabi, it says if a man has stolen ox or sheep or ass or pig or ship, whether from the temple or the palace, he shall pay 30-fold. The man sign is Aquarius. The ox is Taurus. The sheep is Aries. The Aries and Taurus are connecting signs. The ass is a constellation called the Celis Borealis, which means donkey and is located in Cancer. And the pig is a constellation called Porcus. The ship is a constellation called Argo that goes from Cancer to Scorpio. 7 signs total are mentioned here. Now, we did the Sumerians, we did the Babylonians for now, or their most memorable literature. Let's do the Egyptian Book of the Dead. O mighty of knives, lady of the two lands, the one who smashes the enemy of the weary-hearted one, the one who does what is wise, the one free of wrong. The name of its gatekeeper is long-horned bull. What is to be said when arriving at the 5th portal? Words spoken by the Osiris Ani, the vindicated, O fiery one, mistress of heat, the joyful one, the one whom the entities of the bald-headed do not descend, the one who asks that something be given to her without the swift of glance entering into her. The name of its gatekeeper is one who spears the disaffected. So the lady is the woman Virgo. The long-horned bull is Taurus the bull. The spear represents Sagittarius with the man and the bow and arrow. You're going to ask me how Sagittarius makes sense as a spear, because obviously it's a bow and an arrow. I get that. I get that it's a horse. I get that it's a man. I get all that. I'll explain to you how spear makes sense tying it to Sagittarius. You can't think of it as like the bow and the arrow. Sagittarius is the day of death. The day of death is December 21st, the day the sun dies. That is the last day of Sagittarius. So all deaths, metaphorically, this is the science that it is based off of. So the deaths take place here. The spear is an instrument of death. In the Bible, they tell you this in 2 separate stories. The 2 most important murders that I would argue with anybody on that happened between the Old Testament and the New Testament were the first murder, Cain and Abel, and Jesus. I mean, you can't really argue beside that. So, why is it a spear? Well, I mean, obviously Jesus is hit with the spear of destiny to check to see if he's still alive when he dies. So that's a spear. That's an instrument of death. But what about Cain and Abel? Well, the thing about Cain and Abel is you have to understand Hebrew too. You know, it always baffles me when Christians try to interpret the Old Testament and don't understand Hebrew. You got to know the etymology of things. Cain hits Abel in the head with a rock, buries him, and then you get the famous "Am I my brother's keeper" line. Mm-hmm. But what you don't know is that etymologically, the name Cain means spear. Okay, so the spear is an instrument of death because Sagittarius is the day of death. Chapter for becoming Ptah. Eating bread, drinking beer, purifying the hinder parts, and being alive in Heliopolis. What will you live on, say the gods and spirits to me? I will live and have power through bread. Where will you eat it, say the gods and spirits to me? I will have power, and I will eat it under the branches of the tree of Hathor, my mistress, who made offering of bread, beer, and corn in Heliopolis. Those who are in Heliopolis bow their heads to me, for I am their Lord, I am their bull. The bread, beer, and corn, I've mentioned all of those during Virgo. When I explained Virgo to you, is Virgo. That's when you harvest. The bull is Taurus. Heliopolis is the city of light in Egypt. It was called On. That's why when you go into a room, Tommy, and it's dark, to become enlightened, like you're going into the city of light to become enlightened. To become enlightened, when you go into a room, you turn the lights on, right? Now, even further than that, back to the Bible real quick. Solomon is not actually the name of a person. He's an archetype. He didn't exist. The Bible is not history. Solomon is a combination. What did I tell you that Jesus was? The Son. Most of the Bible stories and everything are different ways of telling the hero's journey of the Son. Solomon is 3 words for the sun. In Latin, sol means sun. In Buddhism, Om. When you say Om, if you read the Upanishads, you'll find out that Om is the light of the syllable of the sun. So it's the sun, and On is the city of light. That's the sun. Sol, Om, On is 3 names for the sun. And he was the wisest man that ever lived. It's a metaphor. They tell you this stuff. It's just, again, like that quote, right? It's not that they told literal stories. and we're smart enough to take them symbolically. It's that we've lost this ability of understanding very complex, nuanced storytelling. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, to be fair, some people say this is 36,000 years, and well, I mean, yes, technically it was Egyptian, because Egypt was such a long period of time that they had two separate sun gods, Osiris and Horus. Well, I'll leave it there for now. So the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, also known as Hermes Trismegistus. Free is a mentee to the Son of Man. Look how it's spelled. The Son of Man. The Christians just stole it from it and changed it as Owen. Deep, and for people who are going to say, people always love to tell me this. They love to say you're making a conflagration from SUN to SON. The homophone didn't exist. Well, guys, when did the English Bible come out? 1611, right?
King James, yeah.
Right? 1611. That's when it came out. It was told this before then. That just happens to be how they translated it in 1611, right? Because the English language. And just to prove it to you, if you guys ever wanted to understand what English looked like before the King James Version, pick up a copy of the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer and try and read it. Pick up a copy of Beowulf and try and read it.
Yeah,
See if you can do that.
Fucking gibberish.
Yeah, it's nonsense. It's seizure.
Yeah.
So deep beneath the rocks, I buried my spaceship, waiting in time when a man might make free. Over the spaceship erected a marker in the form of a lion, yet like unto a man. What would that be? That would be the Sphinx, wouldn't it? There neath the image rests my spaceship. This is why they don't let you dig under the Sphinx. Because supposedly the Atlantean Hall of Records is under the right paw of the Sphinx. They won't let you dig there. Thoth's interdimensional spaceship is under there too. They tell you this in the Emerald Tablets. And if you don't think that, if you're like, oh, this is just nonsense. This is okay. Right. Let me explain this to you. You have Thoth, right? Hermes Trismegistus, the quantum hermetica, the hermetic principles. We take science for granted now, right? We think science has our best knowledge and answers and everything. String theory 20 years ago said that everything was vibrating strings, and that was cutting edge physics, and everybody was hugging themselves over it. Well, they've never read the Quantum Hermetica, which is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years older than that. If you were to go to the Quantum Hermetica and you look up the third Hermetic principle, it is the principle of vibration. Everything, nothing rests, everything vibrates. They're rediscovering what we've already known, and they're acting like it's brand new.
Gotcha. Hey, Micah, like you, I've been a little under the weather and I've been crushing Gatorades all day. Let me use the restroom real quick. Tell everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, okay. All right, guys. We'll be right back. Perfect. Thank you.
No, thank you. I
Yeah,
needed
yeah,
that too.
yeah. I've been fucking. There's one thing I remember my mom being a nurse growing up is if you're not feeling well, just crush fluids. That's what I've been
Yeah,
doing today. All right, beautiful. Let's get, dude. That's wild. The quantum hermetica. I hadn't heard of that.
yeah. It's Hermes. It's Hermes Trismegistus. It's our history. They don't want you to know.
That could be a whole
I mean,
episode in itself, going into what's under the Sphinx.
oh my God, you have no idea. I mean, I think you do.
I mean, but that would just be a fun
Why is it?
episode. What's up?
Oh, I think this is charging now. Hold on.
You're good.
Yeah, it's charging.
You're
Okay.
good.
So now we're into the biblical Gnostic text. So what did we do already, Tommy? We did. We went over the 12 signs, taught you about Ophiuchus a little bit. The 13th sign. I didn't go too deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
We went over the Sumerian works, three of them. We went over two Babylonians. We went over two Egyptians. Now we're in the biblical Gnostic texts. These are the texts that didn't make the Bible. Let's start with the Book of Enoch. Now, what is so special about the Book of Enoch? Well, the Ethiopians know. The Ethiopians have 12 months of 30 days and 1 month of 5 days. The story behind why we have 5 extra days goes back to a very ancient story about Hermes, or Thoth, who gambled with the moon for 1/72nd of her light in a day of cards and won. That's why we have the extra 5 days. If you were to do this correctly, we should have cycles of the moon, 13 months, 28 days with 1 day of rest. But everything in our history has pulled us disharmonic from what it is. I mean, the months don't even add up with the zodiac, right? They don't. You have three different types of signs. In the zodiac, you have what's known as a mutable sign, you have a fixed sign, you have a cardinal sign. This is why there's cardinals in church. Now, if I were to take one of those signs and break them down, they form 3 10-day periods called deacons. This is why there's deacons and cardinals in church, because it's astrology. They don't want you to know that. They'll tell you astrology is evil. Now, the Book of Enoch was removed from the Bible for reasons like this. Because look, they're openly talking about astrology. Chapter 8.2. Simjaza taught enchantments. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Arakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Sariel, the course of the moon. They're openly telling you they taught you this stuff. 51.4. And in those days shall the mountains leap like rams. That's Aries. And the hills shall also skip like lambs. That's Aries. Satisfied with the milk, the Milky Way galaxy. Sagittarius. The Gospel of Q. Give us our daily bread today. Which of you would give your child a stone if they ask for bread? Or who would give them a snake if they ask for fish? The bread is Virgo, the snake is Ophiuchus, and the fish is Pisces, right? Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs, so it's making a pattern here again, guys. They're always making distinct patterns. Your patterns that you're looking for are connecting signs, which is the signs next to them, or the opposing sign. Those are the only two distinctions you can make, and they're always filling that void. Everyone who divorces his wife and remarries is unfaithful to her, and whoever marries someone who's divorced is unfaithful too. Which of you, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, would leave the 99 in the hills and go after the one that got lost? So divorce, marriage, court, law, that's all Libra. The sheep is Aries. These are opposing signs. The secret gospel of John. Sophia saw what her desire produced. It changed into the form of a dragon with a lion's head. The dragon is the constellation Draco, Aries to Sagittarius. The lion's head is Leo, the lion. Well, Aries to Sagittarius, it's Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. The lion's head is Leo, the lion. Lion, Leo, and Aquarius are opposing signs. It makes another pattern here. The Gospel of Thomas. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. We're talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you or part of them. However, in astrology, the lion sign is Leo, the sign of the man is Aquarius, and those are opposing signs of the zodiac. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net and draws it up full of fish. They're talking about the man, which is Aquarius, and the sign of fish, which are Pisces. Those are connecting signs. Incidentally, when you're talking about the mythology of mermaids, right? When you're talking about mermaids, well, what's a merman? Well, that's the man, fish. That's Aquarius and Pisces. Those are connecting signs. What's a mermaid? That's the woman, Virgo, and Pisces, the fish. Those are opposing signs. So they're making patterns. So it doesn't matter how you cut it, it's all astrology. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gnostic text. Mary questioned her master. At the end of an eon, will all matter be destroyed? Each zodiac sign is considered a house. So the house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces, each sign is also called an eon. Luke 22:10, he replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters. Well, a couple things. Number one, the man with the water pitcher is Aquarius. So when they're asking, where do we meet you? Jesus, the son, says, you'll find me in Aquarius. That'll be when the next Passover is, because they just had Passover in Pisces, the age of Pisces, the two fish, which is why Jesus feeds the masses with two fish. And then the next one will be in Aquarius. Now, here's the other thing. Back in the day, there were very gendered roles. Men would not carry water. It was a feminine job. They would never do it. In fact, mostly in Africa, it's still the same way. Women carry the water. So the fact that it's a man carrying a water pitcher should automatically tell you that it's Aquarius. The Gospel of Philip. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made his disciples great so they could see him in his greatness. On that day, he said in gratitude, you who have united perfect light with Holy Spirit, unite us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him, it's impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. The olives are Libra. The Lamb is Aries. These are opposing signs. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. Both wine and oil come from Libra. The Gospel of Judas. The nearby lake of still waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd psalm, our souls were restored. The lake of still waters is Pisces, the water. The shepherd is in Aries. Those are connecting signs. The book of Jubilees. And on the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters. And the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, and half of them went down below the firmament. So I've mentioned this before. What am I on slide 66? Let me show you this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the firmament, right? You guys want to talk about a flat earth, a dome, and the firmament. It's not what it is. It's not what they were talking about. You see these dividing lines, Tommy, between the signs that separate them? Okay, those don't physically actually exist in nature. You don't look out into the heavens and you see them divided. That's not what they are.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is those are representation of what is known in astrology as a cusp. Some people call them handover dates. What it is let's take the sign Cancer, right? You're looking all the way at the top, you have Cancer. To the right, you see that line? That's the firmament. That represents the last 3 days of Cancer and the first 3 days of Leo. It's a handover period. It's when the energies merge. It's when one hands over to another. That's the firmament. It is not a dome over a flat earth. And a lot of people get that confused. This will make sense now. On the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters. Well, let's look at this right here. There's Aquarius and Pisces right there. Aren't those the two waters? And he creates the firmament and he separates the water from above versus the water from below. I mean, to me, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Gospel of Emmanuel by Billy Meyer. Discovered by Billy Meyer. You brood of vipers. In 2 times 1,000 years, you and your descendants who carry on false teachings out of your own pride, from motives of power and greed, shall be punished and your lives destroyed. So it will be when the human race begins to comprehend and separate the wheat from the chaff. So the wheat is Virgo. That's when you separate the wheat from the chaff. This is astrotheology. So the false teachings are the literal teachings, but as Jemanuel predicts, that in 2,000 years the truth will come to light. This is a passage we hear often. It tells you that in the New Age Aquarius, this has been predicted to come to life. This is predestined in the stars, guys. The age of Pisces was the age of belief. It was the age of being controlled by the church. It was the age of religion. The new age, the age of Aquarius, is going to be not the age of belief, but the age of knowing, where we're going to remember all this stuff that I'm talking about right now, stuff, just all sorts of stuff that's coming out that they're trying to suppress. Nevertheless, do not heed these false teachings, because millennia will pass before the people of these human races will be able to recognize the truth. Hence, following the fulfillment of your mission, centuries and 2 millennia will pass before the truth of your knowledge brought among the people will be recognized and disseminated by some humans. The earth, okay, this is where it gets wild. This earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all the human races.
Yeah, where have we heard that?
What?
Said, yeah, where have we heard that?
Oh, I'm getting to it.
No, I didn't even
But
fucking see the bottom sentence. Yeah, okay, you say where have we heard that? All right.
But if these laws are not followed in 2,000 years, this is from the time of Christ, 2,000 years would be now, 10 times 500 million people will exist. That's 5 billion people. The numbers add up.
Yeah, we're pushing.
If you look at the turn of that century.
Yeah.
But if you look at last century, it was about 5.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, the earth won't be able to support them anymore. Where have we heard the 500 million before? This gospel was discovered in 1963. What was created in 1980?
Georgia Guidestones. Kind of poetic, discovered in 63. Same year JFK got popped.
Yep.
Not as important as this.
The day that JFK died is the day that C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley died too.
Eesh. Seems kind of symbolic.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else? That's the handover day from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So Scorpio is the betrayer, and he's handing it over to the death.
It's also, yeah.
So he was betrayed. He's handed over to the death.
That's when the coup took place. Yeah, a handover.
That's why you do it that way.
Damn.
Since the human race will at that time be comprised far more than 10 times 500 million people, great parts of them will be eradicated and killed.
Oof.
Truly I say to you, from now on I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vineyard, nor eat of the bread until I drink and eat again with you after my affliction. The grapes are Libra, and the bread is Virgo. Again, these are connecting signs. So now we're into the Quran. Those who do not say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us? And why will he not show us a sign from heaven? A sign from heaven. Similar words were spoken by those who came before them. Their hearts are alike. We interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith with all their soul. Review another. And how beautiful all people see the love of earthly passions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses and herds of cattle and a plowed field. Women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the boys in Gemini. Horses are Sagittarius, and a cattle is Taurus. A plowed field is Taurus as well. Taurus and Gemini are connecting signs, while Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs. Verily, in the creation of earth and sky, and in the change of night to day, here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. They keep referring to the hidden signs. In the Bible, Jesus always says the signs for some people to see and those who can hear. And people are like, Jesus, follow Jesus. No, this is what they're talking about. And this is Surah 6, the cattle, by the way. And among them, there are those who only pretendingly listens to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it. And we cover their ears with deafness. And here we go. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. They are always alluding to the signs. always. He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky, and with it we give plants of all kinds to grow. And with it we grow shoots of cereals, from them we grow grains, sitting in an ear of a dent side by side. From the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar yet so different from each other. When fruits appear on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripened. Truly, in this are the hidden signs for those who believed in God. So the grains are planted in Taurus. Then what happens? April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky. The grains grow. You reap in Virgo. The gardens of vines and olives. Grapes and olives are pressed in Libra. These are the hidden signs you need to know. We want to talk about Jesus turning water into wine. Jesus is the sun, right? He's the sun in the sky. It's a process. He who brings down water to you from the sky. The reason, Tommy, God is considered a man, and Mother Earth is considered a woman, has to do with one thing only. It only has to do with one thing, and it has to do with the rain, the sacred fluid that comes down from heavens. See, what happens is, in Hebrew, the word is shemen. We get the word semen from it.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this like poetry. From the heavens, God's sacred fluid comes all over earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then from her belly, food, plants, trees, vegetation grow. So what happens? Well, in Taurus, as above, so below. In Taurus, you see the bull in the sky. You put the plow on the bull. You plant the grapes. And then what happens in Taurus? April showers bring May flowers. Everyone knows that. That's what happens. And what happens? The grapes grow and grow and grow. And then it grows and grows. And then in Libra, you pick the grapes and you crush them into wine. That's how you turn water into wine. It's a process. Okay? And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of date palms and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kinds of fruit, while old age befalls him, and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it all to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so that you can understand. Again, they just allude to it. Understand the signs, understand the signs. The vines are vineyards in Libra. The streams are the streams in the water sign of Pisces and Aquarius. The Book of Mormon. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man. He had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. Yea, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Both wine and lawly things take place in Libra. It's interesting how they always put them together. After the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again, or in fine, after the Gentiles had received the fullness of the gospel, the natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in or come to the knowledge of the true Messiah. Incidentally, the word Israel is a combination of three Egyptian gods: Isis, Amen-Ra, and El. Israel. In fact, Amen-Ra, okay? Ra. His name is Amen-Ra. When you're in church or you're in temple and you end a prayer with Amen, you're giving praise to Amen-Ra. You're not actually saying, and that's how it shall be, or whatever they say it translates to.
Yeah.
Therefore, remember, O man, for all thy doings, thou shalt be brought into judgment. Well, the olives take place in Libra, and again, the judgment takes place in Libra. And my father said he shall baptize in Bethabara, beyond Jordan. And he also said he should baptize with water, even that he should baptize the Messiah with water. And after he had baptized the Messiah with water, he should behold and bear a record that he had baptized the Lamb of God who should take away the sins of the world. Well, if you've ever wondered what a baptism is, it's just a literal as above, so below of the constellation Aquarius. That's all it is. And the Lamb of God is Aries, by the way. So, and I looked and beheld the Lamb of God, that he was taken by the people. Yea, the Son of the everlasting God was judged of the world, and I saw him bear record. The Lamb of God is Aries. The Son of God, or the Son of Man, is Aquarius. The judgment takes place in Libra. Libra and Aries is opposing signs. And what I've just done, Tommy, is taking you through 6,000 years of holy texts to show you that it's in everything. Like, would you like? I have an open challenge for people to come on my channel to try and like debunk me. It's been 3 years, not one person. No one's even made a video of anything that I've ever said. You know
Hmm.
how people like you'll go to YouTube and I'm sure you can look up something and it'll be like Tommy sucks and you'll like click on it and you're like, what? Nobody's ever done that for me. I've never even gotten a death threat.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
to
not.
me,
Yeah, if never even gotten a death threat. Yeah, that's when you know you've riled them up. Is when. No, but really, that's when you get like a counter video, or I've seen videos of people like shitting on my podcast, but still, no, it's at least something. It's yeah, it seems like it would make sense though. I mean, if it all is kind of the there would be nothing more important than, like you said, that farmer's almanac when they didn't have any of this shit written down. No one
and
knew
it's
it yet.
poetry and it's beautiful.
Yeah. But
And
it's
you
also
know,
it makes the most sense is like, what would be of value to them? And it would
right?
be how you get food from the ground. I mean, is there anything more? Is that not is that not the literal separation between us and the hunter gatherers is
Yes.
the agricultural revolution is like that is the marker in human history
That's
where
the
that's where
entire story in the Old
it's
Testament.
the
It's the whole
fertile
story.
crescent is when we started planting food. That's
Yes.
truly the beginning of man.
Dude, this is the whole story about when Joseph gets sold to the slaves in
Yeah.
Egypt and he interprets
Yeah.
the Pharaoh's
Yeah.
dream.
7 years of drought
Right.
or famine or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
We're so spoiled nowadays. We've been removed from this. The other thing that we don't have, Tommy, that they used to do is not only are we spoiled and we're removed from this, but like how like in Game of Thrones they'd be like, winter is coming. They were serious. That was a serious time because
Of
that
course it was. It
you
was
would you would die. You would die.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's you start to understand that shit where or you gotta understand predators. Like we don't think anything of it. It's like I'm in a city. Oh, there's a mountain lion problem. Shoot them. What
Right.
happens when you don't have a helicopter and you don't
Could
have
you
a gun
could you
to
imagine
shoot?
that? Louis C.K. did an amazing bit on that. He's like, we got out of the food chain. How amazing is that? He's like, could you imagine putting a suit and tie on, getting ready to go to work, and a lion's chasing
No,
you?
but really, like we've just walked out of it. Like that's and so of course, like that is the single biggest thing. Like today I went to the grocery store and got some food, right? You don't really think anything of it because it's just kind of another chore. But if that's all you had,
Right.
if that's that would be your daily task every
Right.
day for weeks and months and years would be to figure out how to make sure that your food that the cycle of food
Right.
is coming in.
But
And
you
your
know what?
whole life would revolve around
You
that.
know what else it is, Tommy, though? Like, not only are we spoiled and we kind of just complain about the littlest things here, but because of industry in the 1800s, right? We can't really look out into the sky and see the whole star system.
But also light pollution. So we don't
Right.
that's the other thing is you don't see how let's just remove all of the food problem. Like let's just okay. Even without the constant need for food and water, if you were, I mean, up at like, my parents were tired and they're out in the woods, you step outside in the middle of the night to go take a piss or something.
There's a bear.
Well, that too. But if you look up, you can't ignore that shit. Like you get
Right.
vertigo. If you look up, you'll actually kind of be taken aback. The stars
Right.
are so plentiful
Right.
that you could do nothing but stare at them every night and
Right.
notice patterns.
Could you
It's
imagine? Could you imagine seeing Aurora Borealis though, and them writing metaphorically about it?
fucking lose your mind, especially if you'd never seen anything like that before. It's not like you
Right.
have a phone and you're like, hey, that looks like a computer background. What if you had never seen a computer background before and one night you look up at the stars and it's a goddamn EDM concert? You'd remember that shit for 1,000 generations. You would talk about like the night the sky came alive or something.
Right.
So once you look at it from now combine the two, you're seeing that shit every night and you're constantly looking for food. So it'd be the two biggest things. During the day, all you're doing is looking for food. And at night, you're staring up into the gods. Of course.
But you know what it is, Tommy, and I say this in my other presentation too. Think about this right now. Where we're located, and I'm not going to start arguing about flat Earth, round Earth, any of that kind of stuff because I've kind of I don't like to get into that because number one, no one gets angrier than you with you than a flat earther who you're not convinced when they're telling you their shit.
Yeah.
They get furious.
I'm aware of it. They come into my video game chats. They get angry.
They're unhinged. They're
They're
unhinged.
feral.
They are so feral. They really are.
Yeah.
But I don't really get into that. But think about this right now. We're located in the Milky Way galaxy, right? Which is kind of like in the bottom left corner, we're not really in any place special, right? The sun tells the hour of the day. The moon tells the day of the month, and the zodiac tells the month of the year. It's a perfect calendar.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the clockwork of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's
No,
not a fingerprint of creation, I don't know what is.
yeah. No, absolutely. And but again, like it makes sense that, and these are the only things that would ever last too. I
Right.
mean, right? I mean, sure, yeah, you could have stories of great warriors and kingdoms and shit, but I mean, if you're constantly looking for food and that's what your whole life is around, that's going to be the only thing that lasts. Is you're going to make oral tradition to make sure no one ever forgets this shit,
Right.
right? You're not going to tell stories about that time Tommy stubbed his toe. No one cares. That's a
Right.
funny inside joke, but no one cares.
Right.
Versus like, hey, this is how you make sure you get enough wheat so you don't, starve to death during the
And
winter.
like I said, when you're teaching it to children, you use fantastical stories
Yeah.
with
It's
imagery.
it's like, have you ever seen those meme calendars
Yeah.
where it's like the memes of the year? But those are like the biggest things of the year, where it's like, it's in February it was like the Chinese spy balloon, and July was the chick on the plane. That motherfucker's not real.
Yeah.
You have these things every year. They're the biggest and best memes are the ones that you remember.
Right.
Everything else. Now imagine if we tied those memes to how to get food.
Right.
Of course you'd remember that shit every year. And
Right.
then take it one step further. Imagine if they weren't just memes that were captured, but they were written in the stars.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the basis for everything.
Right.
The
And you know
only
what
thing
blows
that
my
would
mind?
last.
What blows my mind is that the religious won't even listen to you or won't even listen to me because the Catholic Church forbids astrology or Islam forbids astrology.
Which
And they
is
don't realize that
which
it's
is weird
literally
because I would say it doesn't take away from the religion at all. If anything, I would say it fortifies it. You'd go, yeah, this is the important thing that we all remember. This is the literal, it's the sun. It is the giving of life. And that doesn't mean that it's like, oh, so Jesus isn't real. If anything, you'd say, no, this is how God manifests you. God creates the universe. The sun is giving, it is from God. It doesn't take, I don't think it takes away from it at all. I think it fortifies it. It gives it more value. It is not, some abstract thing like God, sent his son and he died and therefore I'm absolved. It's much more real. It's like, no, he's going to give you the wheat and the food.
right.
He can tell you where to put your farm animals. He's going
Right.
to tell you how to like, you know, not die, how to marry the nuclear family, how to raise kids. That to me that makes it so much more meaningful than just going and like sitting in pews on Sunday. It's
Right.
so much more real.
Yeah.
I don't think it takes away from it at all. I think it fortifies it 1,000. It makes it real, right? It's like dollars don't mean anything. If they're just paper. Actual barter, that's real. You're
Right.
right. When you're in college and you're like, I'll fucking give you this sack of weed if you give me some of your alcohol because I'm going to the beach. That's
Right.
real, right?
Yeah. Right.
$20, that doesn't mean anything. At 20, you're 17 and you're able to get your hands on alcohol. That's alchemy. You have the nectar of the gods, right?
Right.
That has so much more value than anything. I think it makes it real, man. I think it makes it real. Yeah. It's my 2 cents.
Cool, man. I like
Fuck
it.
yeah. Fuck yeah. Um, well, yo, let's wrap this one up. And dude, I would really, unless you want to do a different thing for the next one, I'd really like to do something about the quantum hermeticus, whatever the fuck it was called.
For the quantum.
That sounds
Let me
fast.
put something together for you.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. I would love to do something like that. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, guys, hey, please go into the description, and Micah, thank you
And
for
guys, listen, my website, you're gonna think that this is cocky or whatever,
no,
but
no, let me make sure the website just so I don't fuck it up. Let me make sure the
yeah.
website.
Guys, the website is debunkmywork.com.
No, I like it.
And on it's all my social media. At the bottom, it's a way to contact me. It goes right to my email, my YouTube channel where I go into all this stuff, the direct links, and I've done 62 ancient holy texts. 62. You'll find them all in order on my website.
All right, I
All
think
my links for my books. I have an 8-book series, soon to be a 9-book series. I have a kids astrotheology book where I basically do what I just told, what me and Tommy were just talking about, telling the stories, passing them down, but I did it for children, only I don't encode it. So it's with me and my astrologer. It's called A is for Aries. That's there too. That's how you guys support me. Everything's on my website if you want to learn more about this.
All right, I had your website as your Facebook, so I just updated it to debunkmywork.com. I went to make sure it works, and under that I got the Twitter, and under that I got the YouTube. But the first thing in the description, guys, is the very top. It'll just be his website. So go click on that, and yeah, dude, I'll text this to you, and let's definitely do another one. I would love to do the fucking that Egypt shit. That sounds interesting.
The Quantum Hermetica. All right, I'll
Yeah,
start putting something together for it.
hell yeah, Micah,
All right.
dude, always a pleasure to have you on, man. I wouldn't keep inviting you back if I didn't enjoy these.
I know. You're a cool kid, man.
Yeah,
Seriously, feel better, brother. Okay.
I appreciate it, man. All right, Micah, thank you so much, guys. Please go support him. Go grab his books. Go follow him. Go visit his website. All that good shit. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.